Okay, let's do a breakdown on the 1998 World Series champion New York Yankees, the team that went 125 and 50 during the course of the regular season and the playoffs. Let's get started with the offense. Pretty much set in stone. 1, 2 in the lineup was Knobloch and Jeter. You see their on base chances right there. Those numbers check out well above average. Knobloch's numbers against righties might be a little bit low, but that's still a very solid two table setters right there. Let's get into the everyday number three hitter, Paul O'Neill. Let's take a look at his hits with multiple base advancement. You can see the numbers against lefties are a little low. Numbers against right-handed pitching is about average from what you want to see from a number three hitter. Now let's take a look at the centerpiece of the 1998 Yankees lineup. I'm going to show you all of Bernie Williams' numbers. He was pretty much set in stone, the cleanup hitter that year. First, let's take a look at Bernie's on base chances. You see those numbers check out very well, and you see his hits with multiple base advancement. So, really, just an overall solid card out of Bernie that year. There are a number of Yankee teams from the 1990s, which I do not have. I would pretty much assume that this was probably Bernie Williams' best Strat-O-Matic card that he ever had. This is really a solid card, and I would put this card up there with really any center fielder from that era of the 90s when you factor in just how effective he is at the plate and you factor in how good he is in the field. This is really a terrific card out of Bernie Williams from 1998. Now let's take a look at the first baseman, Tino Martinez. He was pretty much set in stone as the number five hitter, according to the Stratomatic book. And you see his hits with multiple base advancement. Those numbers can go up a little bit depending on the ballpark you're playing in, with some ballpark effect home runs. But those numbers, must admit, those numbers are pretty low for a number five hitter. Now, I'm going to show you, according to the Stratomatic book, the DH platoon. They have Tim Raines DHing against left-handed pitching and Darryl Strawberry DHing against right-handed pitching. So I'm going to show you Tim Raines's on-base chances against left-handed pitching. You see that is a terrific number. Tim Raines was um, really terrific at getting on base in 1998, especially against left-handed pitching, and he's pretty good against righties as well. I've used him in the lineup against right-handed pitchers a couple of times. And let's take a look at Darryl Strawberry's hits with multiple base advancement. You see that's a very good number, and that number can creep up to about 10 or possibly even 11, depending on the ballpark you're playing in. So you got a pretty solid DH platoon right there, as well as Chili Davis, who has a solid card against left-handed pitching. Chili Davis only had a little over 100 at bats that year, so you do have some different interchangeable pieces there that you could play at DH. And yeah, you pretty much can get away with also using Tim Raines in left field. Yes, he is a four, but he has a low E rating. Um, and I know I'm not crazy about fours in the outfield, but you could get away with playing Tim Raines in left field if you choose. Now I'm going to show you the catcher who got the majority of the playing time that year, Jorge Posada. They had the Stratomatic book has Posada as the catcher against right-handed pitching, with Girardi as the catcher against left-handed pitching. But I'm going to show you Posada's hits with multiple base advancement against left-handed pitching, because this is what really sticks out on his card. You see that's a very good number there, and that 8 out of 33 can go up to as high of 10 out of 33 against left-handed pitching. So we've got a nice option there at the bottom of your order. And speaking of the bottom of the order, let's talk about the third baseman, Scott Brocious. Now, the Stratomatic book has Brocious hitting eighth against lefties and ninth against righties, but I personally remember Brocious pretty much being the solid number nine hitter in 1998. I could be mistaken, but nonetheless, I'm going to show you Scott Brocious's numbers with multiple base advancement. with his hits, and you could see his numbers against left-handed pitching are just terrific. And that 8 out of 33 can go as high as 11 out of 33 against left-handed pitching. So I know on occasion when I play with the '98 Yankees, I actually go against the grain and put Scott Brocious a little bit higher in the lineup just because I like his ability to drive runs in. Now, as we look at the Yankee offense as a whole, yes, I did give the depth, versatility, righty lefty mix a perfect score of a 5 out of 5. However, the overall offense, I only graded them out at a 4.1 out of 5. That's because I gave the on base percentages at the top of the lineup a 4 out of 5. Middle of the order, I only gave them a 3.5 out of 5 because I'm not crazy about the um, numbers that you get out of Paul O'Neill and Tito Martinez, your number 3 and number 5 hitters in the lineup. So that ended up driving down the offensive score a little bit. So the '98 Yankees, I had them grade out at a 4.1 out of 5. Now let's take a look at the defense. As always, we start up the middle with second base and shortstop. Um, I gave the '98 Yankees a perfect score of a 5 out of 5, and I normally don't do this. Obviously, Derek Jeter, you're rock solid at shortstop, and Knobloch that year was a 2 with a very low E rating. So, it's very very rare you get ones at both second base and shortstop. But if you get a 1 and a 2 and both of them have really low E ratings, then there's really nothing to complain about. So, Yankees middle of the infield defense, very solid right there. Perfect 5 out of 5 score. The outfield defense, this is where I kind of went a little bit back and forth now, okay? Because according to the Strat-O-Matic book, Chad Curtis, they have him listed as the um, everyday left fielder. Okay, now I could tell you one of the things with the '98 Yankees was they would basically play whoever they wanted on certain days. Like for example, I remember Game 4 of the ALCS that year when they were in Cleveland and they were down 2 games to 1, and Dwight Gooden was on the mound for the Cleveland Indians. The Yankees started Chad Curtis in left field versus a right-handed pitcher. And then in the World Series against the Padres, they started Ricky Leday a couple of games in left field. So if I'm going off of the Strat-O-Matic book, and let's just say Chad Curtis is your everyday left fielder, then I'm going to stick by my score of a outfield defensive rating of a 4.5 out of 5. Now, I could tell you when I play with the '98 Yankees, I would play Tim Raines in left field against right-handed pitching, and I would DH someone like Darryl Strawberry because Strawberry, you don't want him in the outfield. Not a good outfield rating from 1998 at all. But if you go by the book and you stick with Chad Curtis as your everyday left fielder, then yeah, your outfield defense is rock solid. So for now, I'm going to stick with the outfield defensive rating of a 4.5 out of 5. Now I'm going to take a look at the overall E ratings on this team. Once again, you are excellent. You are really top notch at second base, shortstop, and center field. Those E ratings are just outstanding. A couple E ratings that are a little bit alarming, and these can really kind of rear their ugly head at times. Your E rating at first base and third base is a little bit high. Those aren't terrible numbers, but those are numbers that can create a little bit of a problem. So I kind of went back and forth on my E rating score. And I came out at a 4.5 out of 5 for the '98 Yankees for an overall E rating. So their overall defensive score checks out at a very good 4.6 out of 5. Now, I could tell you, playing many times like I have with the 1998 Yankees, the underbelly of this team is not the defense. So I feel very comfortable coming out at a 4.6 out of 5 for the 1998 Yankees defense. Now, let's go through the starting rotation real quick. I'm first going to show you the ace, David Wells. Those are his on base chances right there. That it's a terrific card out of David Wells in 1998. And I had no problem giving him a perfect score of a 5 out of 5. Now let's take a look at the starting rotation depth. I'm going to show you David Cone, Orlando Hernandez, and Andy Pettit. You can see Andy Pettit had a little bit of a rough year in 1998. Those numbers are a little bit high. Plus, I don't like the fact that he has a number of home run opportunities on his card, so not crazy about Andy Pettit's 1998 card. Orlando Hernandez is completely lights out against right-handed batting, so if you happen to match up against the right team, he could be completely lights out against some teams. His numbers against lefties are a little high, and David Cohn's numbers check out good, not great. I think what drove down the Yankees starting rotation depth score for me was that I just really don't like Andy Pettit's card from 1998 at all. So I would say that the starting rotation depth is above average, slightly above average, but I wouldn't say it's any better than that. So I gave him a starting rotation depth score of a 3 out of 5. So the overall starting rotation averages out at a 4 out of 5. And the only reason why it got that high was because they do have a legitimate ace in 1998 with David Wells. Terrific card out of David Wells in 1998. Now let's look at the bullpen. This was an easy score right here. Mariano Rivera, you see his numbers right there. And that's not even his best card from his career. I remember his 96 card was even better than that. So that was an easy score for Mariano Rivera getting a 5 out of 5. Now, let's get into a real problem with the 1998 Yankees. And for those of you who remember the video I did on the series that I played with the 98 Yankees and the 86 Mets, I said at the start of the video, when I gave a little snapshot on the two teams, was one of the big weaknesses on the 98 Yankees is bullpen depth. And I'm going to show you the numbers for Graham Lloyd, Ramiro Mendoza. I'm going to show you their numbers first. Now, Graham Lloyd, keep in mind, is just a one inning reliever, and he's a lefty who's really good at getting right handed batters out, which is interesting. He numbers are still very good against left handed batting. Those are solid numbers there. And then you got Ramiro Mendoza. His numbers are a little bit high against lefties, and his numbers are very good against right-handed batters, and he's a three-inning reliever, so that is an interesting option out of your bullpen. However, this is where I got to hit the Yankees bullpen over the head. You see Jeff Nelson's numbers, and there's Mike Stanton numbers, and Mike Stanton not included in those numbers is he has a boatload of home runs on his card. I could tell you when I play with the 1998 Yankees, unless I'm playing a game and I go starting pitcher, maybe bring in Graham Lloyd to get an out or two, and then get the ball to Mariano Rivera, who keep in mind was only a one inning reliever in 1998. Um, I have a lot of trouble playing with this team because I don't like the bullpen depth at all. And I had to hit him over the head with just an average score for bullpen depth of a 2.5 out of 5. So that drove down their overall bullpen score to a 3.75 out of 5. So as we look at the 1998 Yankees as a whole, you're going to see that they grade out at a 4.11 out of 5. Now, that is still a very good score. However, let's look at those numbers from some videos that I've done in the past. I'm going to show you the numbers for the 1990 Reds, the 1995 Indians, and from the 1980s, I'm going to show you 84 Tigers, 86 Mets, 89 Oakland A's. So let's take a look at those numbers right there. So you see, in my opinion, the 1998 Yankees fall behind this group of teams that I've already done team breakdowns on. Now, can you say maybe I was a little too hard on the starting rotation depth? No, I think a 3 out of 5 is a fair score. Was I too hard on the bullpen depth? No, I actually think I gave them a slightly better score because at best, this is only an average bullpen outside of Mariano Rivera. And you got to look at the things that really drove down the 98 Yankees score. It was the 3.5 out of 5 when it comes to the middle of the order. It was the 3 out of 5 in the starting rotation depth because I don't like Andy Pettit's card at all from 1998. And as I mentioned, the bullpen depth. So that's how the 1998 Yankees compare, in my opinion, in Strat-O-Matic to these 5 teams: 95 Indians, 90 Reds, 84 Tigers, 86 Mets, 89 Oakland A's. So feel free to leave a comment. If you're a Yankee fan, go ahead and vent. I'm a big Yankee fan too, but I could tell you when I first looked at the 1998 Yankees, when I got the special team series set, I was almost looking through them saying, this team's just okay. And then as you play with them and then you really break down the cards, then you see, okay, this is what they got going for them. They're really, really good defensively. They've got good depth in the lineup. They've got a great ace in the starting rotation, and obviously they've got the great closer, but it's still a team with some holes in it. Once again, 1998 Yankees grade out at a 4.11 out of 5. That's my video on the 1998 Yankees. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all for watching. And my next video will be on the 1984 Chicago Cubs. Have a good day, everyone.